We are with Brad, and we are with Shane, who can't hear us at all. So you're going to hear Shane saying random things as he tries to do this, but it's downright comical. First, for those that don't know Brad, I want to introduce you. Brad, you've had a long career in golf. You were a THP event veteran, which we know is the most important part.
Of course.
And you're a big part of Club Champion. Now, can you kind of walk people through your background and how fitting plays such a role in there?
Yeah, so at Club Champion, I'm one of the sales directors, and one of my primary responsibilities, I run a training program here at Club Champion. So Club Champion University is when our new fitters come on board. It's a 4-week-long intensive program. We run them through our way of fitting, and
I can't stop laughing
because Shane's struggling right now.
Yeah,
I hope he comes. I hope he gets through.
Me too. So go back to. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So my primary responsibility is I run Club Champion University, which is a 4-week training program where we bring on new fitters that they go through. So currently, right now, we actually have somebody in training, one of our new fitters at one of our locations. And that's kind of, where I spend my days. I'm still active in the fitting bay, so still get a lot of experience there as well, and work with past customers of mine and even new customers of Club Champion.
When we talk about Club Champion, the relationship part of fitting is so important. Mm-hmm. Something like this isn't a Club Champion fitting. Right. We're helping out a person. There's a pandemic. Nobody knows how to really react to that. Shane, who cannot hear us, but we can hear him, won a contest to get an all-expense paid trip to Club Champion headquarters, get fit by you for some Ben Hogan clubs. When you go to a fitting for Club Champion, anybody goes, it starts with a preliminary conversation. Can you kind of walk people through how in-depth that is and how important it is?
Yeah, I mean, so right now during these times, we see a lot of online fittings. And, I think rather than just, buying something without trying or any expertise or anything like that, anything is great. But really what we're about is that relationship with somebody. I think it's very difficult to fit somebody without getting a good background of... Okay. of what they do. And I think it just goes down to the player.
Headphones are off.
Can you hear it, Shane? Can you hear us?
No, he's got nothing. So keep going, Brad.
Yeah. But it's that relationship part, being able to, diagnose the player. I think there's this interesting dynamic of what a fitter knows a player does through technology like TrackMan, and then what the player thinks they do, or their own self-diagnosis, or I say WebMD.
Yeah, and that's the most important part.
Right. And so I think that's a big part of it, is understanding of what that player does and working together and utilizing that time with them to help them understand that and really educate them on that.
When I went through my first ever fitting at Club Champion, it was for a set of irons, and we kind of dove into, most importantly, my preference, because that plays such a large role in it. When you're doing a fitting and you're 100% about performance, how does that much play a role, and how should it play a role?
Well, I think definitely it's, there's going to be player preferences, right? There's going to be, as much as we would want a player to walk in the bay and be open-minded, if somebody is just hell-bent they're not going to play a certain brand, it might be hard to get past that. Now, if you do come with an open mind, I always say, if a player wants to hit 3 or 4 different brands, they're definitely going to hit that. But then I say there's that dealer's choice, right? Whether it's a shaft or a head, that fitter, with all the experience he has, or like I say, a doctor, knows what drugs work, know what shafts work, know what heads are going to work best for a particular player. Without that, and without seeing that in person, it really is just an educated guess. It's not something concrete, we can't see it, we can't prove it. And that's one thing at Club Champion, I think that is very important to stress, is that we have a perfect guarantee. If what you see and what works in the bay and it's data proven, you don't see that translate onto the golf course, myself and Peter invite you back to see what's going on and work with you. We want you to be, a lifelong Club Champion customer. We want you to see those results on the course. And we want you to enjoy your equipment fit at Club Champion. And that's something that we pride ourselves
on. A lot of people are asking questions. This one was just a funny comment.
Okay.
But one of the things that people are talking about are shaft choices, and Club Champion has a ton of them. I mean, literally a ton. Your shaft wall's been shown off by us and you guys thousands of times. When you're dealing with something with a person like this, Shane has his data. We can't get to that data right now, but well, ultimately, would you try to find a shaft or something he likes comparable to what he plays and then go to the head, or the other way around?
Yeah, so our process is no different from anybody that walks in our doors, whether it's a tour player to beginner golfer to Shane right here, who's on mute, who's a horrible Cardinals fan, which if we were really fitting Shane, I would try to mess him up as much as possible, being a diehard Cubs fan. But ideally, the process would be shaft first, right? And the shaft is really what has contact, give us the best ball speed and energy transfer into that. We all know
Shane, we can hear you.
We all know shafts can play a big part in launch and spin, but it's really how that shaft is going to translate energy better.
When with a club line like Ben Hogan, where for all intents and purposes, we're looking at 3 types of irons: Icon, PTX Pro, and Edge. You sent me some data. You've tested them out. You know the irons pretty well. You have not tested Icon yet.
I have not tested that,
but you've played muscle backs for years. How would you try to go through and work with what fits what person best? Is there a spin profile? Is there a performance profile? How do you work through that with irons?
Right. I mean, I think with irons, you know, I hear this a lot from players, and I hear, I mean, every day is ultimately in the end is obviously it has to look appealing to the eye, right? It's got to give you that self-confidence. Okay. The second thing is how does that club interact with turf? Turf interaction is very important when it comes down to irons. So if Shane is playing something that, let's say, would resemble the Edge iron, we're going to probably start there. Now, the Hogan lineup is great. Those 3 irons can be mix and match. We can do combo sets. You know, it's very seldom these days does anybody play 2-iron through pitching wedge like Tiger in one brand, right? Or one exact model. My bag is very extreme. And I think that's what each player should be looking at these days is what job does this iron have to do? My 4-iron has a job. It doesn't look like the rest of them. In fact, I don't even carry a 5-iron. So, you know, I go from a 4-iron, let's say it's a 4 on the bottom of it, and then I play 6-iron through pitching wedge. So with Shane, I'm really going to I would focus on what is he playing? What is he looking for? Get him started in one of those heads to start to find the right shaft that is going to help his contact, deliver the best energy transfer, look at the ball speed, smash factor, and really see if he's maximizing his distance potential.
Since Shane is probably not going to be able to participate in this, and we'll have to bring him back at a different time, and I appreciate Brad being flexible here.
Yeah, no problem.
When you were looking at the irons, what are type of pairings? So the PTX Pros, the combos, the Icons, and the Edge, how would you discern when a combo set would be the right way to go versus, I know you just kind of talked about every club has a different thing, but for the golfer, let's say we're talking about a 10 handicap golfer, pretty good ball striker, decent speed coming through the ball. What are they gaining in the Icon other than a look that they couldn't get out of the PTX Pro, in your opinion?
So I'll simplify it first before we dive into the Ben Hogan part of it. Prior to all this, I worked with a pretty famous soccer player, and
is it Pele?
It's not Pele. He's
I'm out there. That's the only one I know.
Yeah. And he was very much a shallow angle of attack, right? Higher handicapper. Struggling still. I appreciate your dedication to get this work, Shane. And
I know. Shane will be able to.
Yes.
Hey, it's Ken and Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Oh,
you need some help?
Yeah.
We'll remove Shane from the stream as he gets this figured out.
So going back before we dive into the Hogan part of it, is that kind of I'm a high handicapper, I must play this iron, or I'm a low handicapper, I must play this iron. You know, I recently worked with a guy, like I said, who's a picker, right? He bottoms out before every shot, and he's playing these wide-soled irons. And all you hear is ground ball every time, ground ball. And so I'm not necessarily wouldn't go to the blade Icon, but I'm looking at sole thickness, I'm looking at bounce. Now, I think the best thing about the Hogan irons is that V-sole. Now, maybe some of the viewers have seen this, maybe in the Strixon irons, which is a little bit more drastic than this version. But it doesn't necessarily, just because the sole's wide or the sole's narrow, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to play best for a shallow player or digger, if you will. So I'd be looking at those types of angle of attack to look at iron design, the sole, and so forth. And then when you see it into the Hogan line, I think a question we get in the bay all the time is this: if I do a combo set, how do I need to adjust those lofts? And when you look at the Hogan line, these lofts, the 6-iron across the board in all 3 models is 30 degrees. So it's not like, you're playing, for lack of a better example here, PXG, if you're going, the XP irons versus the Ts,
right?
6-iron difference is pretty crazy. And if you look at a brand like a Wilson, the D7 iron, I think, is 24, 6-iron is 24 degrees. So, Tigers is 32.5. It's a pretty, I mean, where does it start? Where does it end? Who knows? But the Hogan line makes it very.
If we go back to 1993, the Cobra King were that low loft too.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's confusing for the consumer, and I understand their pain, and that's why getting in the bay with one of our fitters that knows the product and knows what they're trying to do. I don't think there's a cutoff, if you will. One of the rules of thumb I like to say is that 150, 160 yard range. And then what they like to look at for a lot of the touring pros, the break is really, they see it with the eye between the 7 and 8. So I remember,
and that's kind of where most people have been splitting as of late, especially with the Hogans, where there could be a difference in tech and things like that. Because as you get longer clubs, you want a little more forgiveness as swings have gotten harder. And Brad and I have been friends for a long time, long before you were a club champion. You've been preaching this style of fitting forever, for as long as I've known you. Yeah, I mean, I go back, I think an iron that was really kind of said that message was the burner iron at TaylorMade. It was the Unstoppable 8 campaign. And it was each iron has a job, and the loft structure and the length structure was all different, right? And we see that a lot more. We see options available to people. It's not just, you got one way or that's it. It's a la carte these days. And that at Club Champion, we stress that because we're going to build exactly what you hit in the bay to a T, and we can go every different option. We're going to take some questions as I think Shane is working this out, and people have a lot of them. We'll start with this one. How often do people get fitted for irons and then come back and get fitted for woods? And by the way, I hate that term. It's not fitted. It's get fit. Yep. So I would say this. The best value at Club Champion right now in any time is a full bag fitting. So in our full bags fittings, we start, unless the player wants to start differently, and that's fine, is we start with irons and wedges. And then from there, we go into driver fairway hybrids and then end with the putter. Now, if somebody comes in for an iron fitting, the iron, the wedges, and that bridge club, whether it's a driving iron or hybrid, should be looked at. And then they're going to see that success, and they're going to see that translate onto the golf course. They're going to see it translate into lower scores. And then, of course, they're going to come back, and they're going to want to run through, a long game fitting with us. Right now, we have 74 locations coast to coast. I'm proud to say that, we almost have a little over 50 right now back online. We got a great promotion going on right now for the 6 weeks. Any store opens, any fitting is free with a purchase of $500 or more. So I think a lot of people are going to be taking advantage of, hey, let's get for irons and wedges and then come on back, or if you will, or do it all at once. And we're open to that.
I'm going to switch to the laptop and see if that works.
So as we're cycling through more questions, there's some interesting thoughts going through on how to choose the right things.
Yep.
This one came up as someone who's gone through a full bag fitting at Club Champion. It's a great option top to bottom, well worth it, including the putter. It's not a question, but I wanted to bring that in about the putter fittings because it's something that I think is overlooked a lot,
100%.
Where it's not so much fitting to a style because the eye has to like that. It's also fitting for loft, for lie angle, for length. Can you kind of walk people through how a putter fitting works?
So from a technology standpoint, we use Sam Pelt Lab, and Sam is unbelievable. It measures everything from how you aim it till you strike the ball till after the fact. What's great about Sam is it does give you initial science-based recommendation, telling you what kind of toe hang your putter needs, what kind of offset you can benefit from, the loft, the lie, you name it. And then it's up to the fitter to kind of work with that player and put some different things in your hands that are going to allow you to see those immediate impacts. With putting, you can see immediate impact. You can see
better than irons, in fact.
Yeah, you can see improvement in aim. You can see improvement in one's impact location on the face, how they're going to get that ball to roll better, and so forth. We all know, and not to be, kind of beat a dead horse here. It is the most important club in the bag, right? We take the most strokes with it, but it's something that most players never in their wildest dreams would ever get fit for a putter. Their putter fittings go from grabbing 6 putters at a store, knocking 4 in a row in and be like, I'm buying this one. By the way, you got it an inch shorter. This feels a little long. They're not touching
Don't talk
weight.
about me.
Yeah, they're not talking weight. They're not talking loft and lie. They're not talking grip, During these times, I mean, today I got something pretty cool in the mail. I got a new putter grip I'm dying to try. So I'm always kind of looking for something. And there's definitely new styles of putting that have come out. I mean, I think we all watched this weekend. I mean, it was the only thing on TV, of course, right? Everyone wants to try the Ricky putter shaft from LA Golf. That's been a hot thing. So, putter fittings it's my favorite part of a full bag fitting, hands down, because it's probably the most eye-opening and it's the most impactful on one's game.
I think we have Shane with us now. Shane, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Shane.
Well,
Hi.
Introduction to Brad. We couldn't do this early on. We had some technical difficulties, but we're glad Shane's with us. So we don't keep Brad for the next 2 hours and listeners go crazy. Can you kind of talk to Brad through your numbers a little bit and what you kind of did? Because you went and got some data recently with your irons.
That's great.
Yes, I did. I got 8 iron, Brad's all I got.
Okay.
I got an 8 iron. I got about 20 swings and then just got the average of them.
Okay.
And do you want just what the average numbers were?
Yeah. So I guess first off, what kind of technology was used to get the data, a
TrackMan indoors.
Okay. Okay, great. So club head speed, ball speed, and smash factor right off the bat.
Club head speed with 8 iron was 72.
Okay.
Ball speed 99.
Okay.
Smash was 1.38.
Okay.
And spin was 47.15.
Got it. Do you have the height and land angle on those?
Yes, height was 63.
Okay.
And land angle was 39.8.
Okay. And what kind of golf ball did you use?
It was a Strixon Z-Star.
Okay. Now, can you tell us what iron you currently are playing? Head and shaft.
It's PXG Gen 3 XPs.
Okay.
And the shafts are Acra 90 stiffs.
Acra 90 stiffs.
They're pretty stiff for me.
Got it. Fair enough. Well, you may missed a little bit of the first part of this, Shane. And one of the things
he may have.
Yeah. Well, first off, you missed me ripping on that hat because I'm a diehard Cubs fan. So I
wore it on purpose.
You should be playing C-Taper Black Limited 130X, hard fit twice. All right. And so forth. But I will say this. We all know that right now what's going on. There's a lot of online fittings. There's a phone a fitter and so forth. At Club Champion, that's not necessarily what we're about. We're about the interaction with the player, seeing data live, understanding really what's kind of, what's happening. And I believe that the first part of the fitting, which is that interview process, is very important because there's always this fitter-player dynamic, right? For me, I want to make sure that I diagnose the player correctly. Because if I diagnose them incorrectly, I'm going to give a bad recommendation. And sometimes it's a little bit of the player diagnosing themselves or web ending themselves, right? And that's interesting. Let me ask you this, Shane. What do you like about these PXG irons you're playing right now? Because they're a great product. I must say the Gen 3s they're a very good product. They blew me out of the water, to be honest with you. It's a great product.
I like a combo.
Is it because you were expecting little?
Yeah. I like the looks and the forgiveness.
Okay.
For a bulky iron, they actually look pretty good for my height. Okay. That's the main thing.
And you play a full set. Like, what's the set makeup? Is it a full set of the XPs? I believe you said
5 through gap wedge.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Now, what would you say the next set of irons has to do better than these? And it can be anything. That's a very vague question. Is it a look? Is it a feel? Is it a ball flight thing?
I think of ball flight. Especially like with the 63 height.
Yep.
I'm not getting the flight I used to get.
I
used to.
Yeah, and that was the number that really kind of stuck out to my head. Is I would imagine you're probably looking for some more height. For a 6 iron, we want to see that landing angle. Depending on player preference, of course, 45 to 50 degrees. I believe you said you were 39.
39 with an 8 iron.
Yeah, with an 8 iron. So I definitely would imagine. Now, I don't have that iron in front of me. I don't know what the loft is, but that's the first thing that's really sticking out to me is your smash factor is through the roof for an 8 iron. It's very good. That iron's really not probably behaving like an 8 iron. It's probably behaving like more like a 7 or 6. And I'd be looking at
I wish I had a loft jacking.
I know. Yeah. So that would be the first thing. From a ball flight wise, how about aesthetically? What do you like the look of these irons? Would you? Yeah.
I do like the look of them. Yes, because I like a little more. I don't like of course, we all like the look of a blade.
Sure.
But there's a meat on them, but they'll look like the 16-inch top line that you get with some.
Yeah, of course. And I think that's the thing about the Hogan irons. And PHG does do this too. We do many combo sets. When you look at the Edge iron or the PTX Pro, that's probably going to be that ballpark of where you're at. You may be that guy that goes, I really like the 6 iron and the Edge. And we were just talking about this before you came online is where's the break? And usually I like to think of that break being that 150, 160 yard range. Or 7 to 8 iron. And 7 to 8 iron is that cosmetic look. So, I remember working with Justin Rose, that 8 iron's got to look perfect to him. And it looks so different to most players than their 7.
Right.
So that would be something that I'd entertain, certainly. But I think to start our process of fitting, we would start with shaft in that Edge iron. And then start to see which shaft is giving us the best strike, consistency, in energy transfer for ball speed and smash factor. Because a 142 smash factor, not that it's bad. If I just had that number alone, I'd say, wow, that iron's crazy hot. You're doing something great. But when you start talking height and landing on what you're seeking in the next iron that goes in your bag, we probably want to see something that goes a little bit higher and lands a little steeper. You get at those pins that are tucked over bunkers and water and things like that.
Yes.
Speaking of shafts, Brad, he mentioned he was playing the Acro shafts, which are fantastic shafts, but he felt they were a little too stiff for him.
Yep.
Would you recommend in this situation, again, this is not a fitting, this is basically impossible to diagnose, that he dropped a flex, or would you recommend possibly going to something else if he likes the feel of those?
Yeah, I'm probably not going to go too far from home first. The first shaft I put in his hands may be something very similar. In fact, that might even, might go the Acura 90, reg, if you will, the M3. And their new line is great. The cosmetics are awesome. They're way
they are.
They're fantastic.
What if Shane followed that up with, no, I'm not playing a regular flex shaft? What would you do there?
Well, then there's the ability to play something that's a tweener flex, if you will, or go a different route. Because we know this is that the S on the club or the M4 that's on a golf club really means very little. There is no universal standard, right, for a shaft flex. So, if I wear, a pair of Adidas pants that are 34s, you damn right I'm wearing 36 in Lululemon. So in essence, they range from whatever, but I'm going to really
many questions just came up about why you're wearing Lululemon and you wearing a 34 and things like that. But okay, Shane, so when you found out you won this contest, like any other person on the internet golf website thingy, you would immediately start looking at shafts, right?
Yes, of course.
What shafts are on your mind that you have the absolute shaft expert here that he can kind of walk you through about what you might see?
Recoil, of course.
Yep. I would go there.
760, 780 was the last one I played. This was a couple years ago, and of course my brain, those are too weak for you. No, they were perfect. I should have never left it. But I'm a club, Josh can vouch for this, I'm a club changer, even when I shouldn't be. But those were actually really good as far as feel, height.
Yeah.
Excellent shafts for me back then.
Yeah. And so as a fitter, I'm listening to that. We're definitely going to be testing that, right? So, I may try, something a little softer and Acura. I may, for me, I'm really focusing on weight of the shaft, right? Is something lighter beneficial to you to bring that consistency, or heavier and whatnot? We're going to do some, you only have so many golf swings, Shane, in a fitting. So, I'd be definitely, if you had success with something, I'm definitely going to be testing that with you in the recoil line. Now, if you said something, Brad, this shaft, this Acura 90S feels a little too stiff, to put extremes on this, steel fiber in the experience I have and is all of our fitters in our company, 150 plus fitters, they would put steel fiber on the stiffer side and they would put recoil on the softer side of in the graphite world. I kind of put Acura somewhere in the middle, or Catalyst is in the middle, and so forth on that. But the recoil is a great shaft, and I'd be going there and kind of testing something different. Now you're a connoisseur, so you would know what these shafts do. So I can't blind you and say just hit it. You're going to have a little bit of some favorites in the back of your mind, but during this being open-minded, we're really focusing on the shaft that gives you the best contact, the best energy transfer, the best smash factor. Not so much really looking for up, down, left, and right quite yet,
right?
But really seeing that transfer of energy. Of course, if I could make your irons better, the first thing I would do, I'd be weakening your loss,
right,
out of your current set. And the edge irons, they're depending on the loft structure. And again, we don't know what your iron is from the exact loft of it, and they're two different pair of jeans. They're going to fit differently. Mm-hmm. I'd be starting you with a standard lofted edge iron and testing some shafts with you and going from there.
Which one are the mom jeans?
The mom jeans. Is that like see, I got asked this question the other day, totally off topic, but this is what this is for. You're either losing weight or gaining weight. You're not staying even during these times.
Yeah, I'm definitely gaining.
All right.
Anyway. So you're talking about the edge set. Could you see in a situation where somebody would split these three ways? Now, Hogan doesn't really offer that, but as a fitter where you do offer the different clubs, could you see somebody go edge, PTX Pro, Icon, 3 separate way split? Possibly.
Depending on the use, they would use some of those longer irons. I'd say it'd be rare in this case. Unless I felt like Shane, if I put the 5 iron in his hand, he does something totally different than his gap wedge, right? It's so different that I would warrant that, because I think the turf interaction, when you really look at the V-sole design, the width of the edge, the width of the PTX Pro and the Icon, they're slightly different. And, Shane, I actually have a couple of them in front of me. The sole thicknesses on these aren't too different.
By the way, I find it funny that Shane moved closer to the screen as if the irons are going to become closer.
They're not too different, but I'd be looking at the turf interaction and so forth. And that would be during our line angle test of, how he's using the leading edge, what is he feeling throughout the strike.
Now, you started the research, you talked about the shafts. Have you, let's assume the fitting was not taking place. There was no fitting. What would you be ordering, Shane?
Probably the edge with recoil, recoil 760/780, probably F3 now. It was F4 in the past. Probably would be.
You could have given me 100 choices that I would not have guessed edge. What makes you choose edge over PTX Pro? Do you just like the forgiveness?
Forgiveness, yes.
Okay.
Now actually, that's kind of, I would have probably went right to combo if we're going to be real honest. I'd have went edge, PTX Pro, broke at the 7 iron. Would be mine.
Okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
So, Brad, with combo sets, one of the things we didn't talk about is the large, vast coming in party, so to speak, of utility irons.
Mm-hmm.
Could that also play the role here where somebody goes, okay, well, I want the PTX Pro through the 6, let's say, they could go, or through the 5, they could go utility iron through there and then play PTX Pro through?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I think it's, the one thing with, I would say, the utility irons these days is definitely, I don't want to say it's a club for the stronger player, because I've seen success in, the Cleveland line or whatnot. There's definitely success stories to be had. But then it's another discussion with Shane of, what's your comfort level with a 5? What's your comfort level with a 4? Shane, do you carry a hybrid? Do you carry a 4 hybrid filler? Or do you have a 9 wood? I don't know. No 9 woods.
No 9 wood. I carry a hybrid.
Like 22?
I carry a 22-degree hybrid usually.
Okay, gotcha.
Between 20 or 22, depending on the.
Pretty confident with that golf club?
It's my favorite golf club in the bag.
tough to going to be pull that out. Yeah. Yeah.
But I like long irons too. So
Yeah. Gotcha. Do you have a home track? Do you play 90% of the time, or do you kind of play?
yeah,
all over
Highland
the
Springs Country Club is my home track.
Got it. So you kind of design your bag around that golf course. And I think
Yes.
that's important to note. You know, I
Yes.
don't really have a home course. I like to play all over the place. I like to, you know, I have pretty much 15, 16 golf clubs in my car at all times. It's where am I playing? What's the weather that day? And so forth. And, you know, if you are playing that home track, and that's something I think for everyone watching is design your bag around the place you play. If you play 8 or 9 out of 10 times at a course, you should be designing your bag around that, not, you know, your one trip to Scotland every decade.
So you've heard about what he has in his bag now. You've heard about the shafts he kind of likes. You know the Ben Hogan line. Shane, would you eliminate the icons from your choice?
Unfortunately, I would.
Okay.
And I hate to admit that, but nowadays I would.
So he's a decent ball striker, Brad. He hits, his speed is good for a guy who had those glasses on a little bit ago. Could you see him going straight PTX Pro through? I mean, they have the hollow body. They're quite forgiving on the longer iron.
Right. Yeah. I think it would be a little bit of an ice bath, dumping him in from where he's coming from to the PTX Pro. Now, when I asked Shane, you know, from a what do you want out of the next set of irons, we kind of more went to ball flight than we went to look. You know, a lot of players can answer that question very differently. They could have said, you know, they're too big. The top line's too big. The sole's too thick, yada, yada, yada. So he didn't really go that route. He was talking more of what does he want? You know, Shane's a player. He wants to see a different ball flight and so forth. So I'd be going more, how do we get him that? You know, maybe test, you know, in our bay, we use 6 irons to test. It's got enough loft to show curvature, and it's got enough loft that players are going to feel comfort with them when they're testing shafts and testing different heads. So that's where I would start. I would start Shane with the 6 iron in the edge, unless he's so against the cosmetic of it, of the looks of it. But then some seemed like he was too turned off by what he's currently playing.
I'm not. Now, I will say this too, Brad. The set I played before this that I should have never left was the Wilson C300 Forged.
Good iron.
Those to me were a perfect blend of everything.
Yep.
Being the idiot I am, I wanted to buy myself a new present, so I got rid of them. That's just me. Those, honest, were the best combination of looks and playability. The steel fibers were a hair stiff for me, but I could still get them up. They were great irons and should have never left them. So that's really my ideal shape and playability.
So was that more of a cosmetic visual, or was it a feel thing?
Both.
Both? Okay.
Both.
Yeah, I think you're going to get that with the Ben Hogans. You know, the technology in the edge, pretty amazing. And I think the V-Sole is going to give you some added, you know, cut through the turf better. You know, you and I both play in moderate to soft conditions. We're not, you know, JV down in Florida right now. We're playing bent, and it's we got like 6 inches of rain here in Chicago the other night. So, you know, I want that club to get through the turf, right?
Right.
I think that's really where you're gonna love the performance of the Hogan irons is through the turf, through that. And I think, you know, some of the other technology that Hogan's added, you know, in their design is going to be kind of similar to the, you know, power hole technology in the C300 line. But, you know, again, comparing without them in front of us, hard to know. But you said you had steel fibers in those C300s.
Yes, and they were a little harsh for me a little bit.
And you don't like the Acura 90s, which are currently irons, which you even think those are a little harsh. So it's kind of hard to compare without them, you know, side by side. And that's the best thing about Club Champion. You come in our doors, we'd be able to actually test that, even if you didn't even own those irons anymore. We have those C300 forged heads. We have steel fiber shafts. We can run that through the gamut just to make sure that we're positive on what you're doing. But I like the direction you're going. You know, I definitely, you know, you've had a lot of success with Recoil. You want to see something a little bit softer. My main concern in, you know, if we go full set of edge or we do a combo set is the loft structure. And that's something that always can be fine-tuned down the road. We can bring you in and making sure that if we need to adjust it a degree or two, you're not taking away too much from, you know, the offset or the turf interaction of it, but it's going to give you the ball flight and the height and the stopping power that you're looking for.
Right.
So Shane, you've got a whole bunch of information, things like that. What questions would you ask of Brad right now to help you dial in what set you want to order? I mean, you're the lucky one for those that join us. You get to pick whatever clubs you want as long as they're Ben Hogan's. And Brad's here to help you. So I've asked all these questions. What questions would you ask of him?
The first one I would ask would be aesthetics, since I've not seen the new Ben Hogan's because they're not around here, so I have not seen them.
Yep.
The PTX Pro compared to the Edge, not just on the bottom, but from the look down, from the top view.
Yep. So from a top view, the top line obviously of the Edge is thicker than the PTX Pro. But right before we came on air, I was actually hitting some and testing some. I sent Josh over some data I wanted to do.
I can put that on the screen if you'd like.
Sure, please. Embarrass me, Josh. Go for it.
This is the Edge. You can see Brad doesn't miss much. That's why his Twitter handle is Mr. Par 3.
Not lately.
And then this will be the PTX Pro.
Yep. Okay. And so they were pretty similar. I saw a little bit better ball speed. And this is the same shaft, by the way, guys. Same shaft, same loft, same lie, same swing weight, same length, same everything. Is exact as I can build them. Now, for myself, the irons I currently play, they're a muscle back. So, both these irons.
Oh, look at me. I play a muscle back.
No, you said it, Josh, not me. You said it first.
That's true.
The Edge has a little bit much offset for me. I miss left. I never want to miss left. So the offset in the Edge, it was too much for my liking. Now, compared to what you're playing, pretty similar.
Right.
Pretty similar to the PXGs. Now, the PTX Pro, that has definitely less offset, very noticeable, thinner top line, very noticeable. It's not like it's going from, the newest irons out there I can think of would be like the Maverick Max to the Maverick Pro. That's a pretty big jump. Right. This is smaller. You still know it's a Hogan iron, but it fit my eye better, gave me more confidence, and that's probably why my numbers were even a little bit better. They weren't like that much better, but I felt a little bit more comfort in looking down at that. So the PTX Pro, I like your idea of maybe blending these two, going 5, 6, 7 and maybe the Edge, and then we go 8, 9 wedge, gap wedge down in the PTX Pro. I kind of like that idea right now.
How much loft? How big a jump would you have from your 7 to your 8 in that situation?
Well, that
in some combo sets you see a huge jump.
Yeah,
I
don't like speaking with without any data in front of me here real quick. So the 8 iron in the PTX Pro is 38, and in the Edge set is also 38. That's the one thing I was saying is a common question we get in a lot of blended sets is, do you need to adjust the loft structure of these? Now in your PXPs you currently have, going from XP to Ps, they're not the same.
Right.
So
okay.
Can everyone see that, Josh, or no?
Yeah, everybody can see it.
What's funny is the only line bigger than our curbside at Club Champion right now is the line at Portillo's. That is a true story.
People like chocolate cake shakes. That's fact.
It's true. That is true.
Shane, what Ben Hogan is saying, 4-degree gaps all the way through, no matter what model. Brad has it. What are you deciding? Like, what are you thinking right now? Anything really changing?
Edge PTX Pro combo.
Okay.
Honestly,
now, Ben Hogan doesn't normally offer that, but we would make that happen. No questions asked. Don't worry about it.
At Club Champion, we can make anything happen.
That is true.
That is just saying.
and
I hate to say no.
Oh, it's important they know, because right now, I mean, let's be honest, we're talking about a brand that's direct to consumer.
Yeah.
Where people can't walk into a golf store and try it, but they can go to Club Champion and get fit for it.
Right. And they're a great partner of ours. And that's, in our bays, being able to test that product is so important.
I'm going to say one more thing for those following along, not because this is a commercial for Club Champion. This is something we reached out to Club Champion to do with Ben Hogan. They're not paying for this trip or anything. Right now, if you go get fit and buy a set of Ben Hogan irons from Club Champion, the fitting's free.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So cool. Buy a club through Club Champion, $500. You get a free fitting with it. So that's pretty cool. And in Shane's case, he gets it all for free.
Once we open up in Chicago, so we, out of our 74 locations, we have over 50 of them back open. Hopefully here in Illinois here very soon. But yeah, that's something, our grand reopening of our stores, there will be a 6-week promotion going on that we welcome anybody that's obviously out there watching this. It's a great opportunity to come in and experience, fitting at Club Champion and get fit for the right equipment.
So any last questions you have of Brad, Shane?
Talk me out of the combo set, Brad.
Talk you out? I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to. I'd talk you in a chocolate cake shake from Portillo's right now if
There we go.
do their job of that. But
I like the idea of split at the 7. Actually, that
I like
that idea a lot because I figure 8 is more precise for me.
Yep.
Honestly, 5 or 6 iron, I'm just trying to get somewhere around the green. I'm not a pro. I'm not even trying to hit darts at a PM with a 5 iron. I want something more forgiving at 5, 6, and 7. 8 down, I like to be a little more precise if I can. If that makes sense.
And like I said, it's not, an apples to asparagus between the two models. It's not like you're going to look at the 7 iron in the Edge and look at the 8 iron in the PTX Pro and be like, who is this company?
Right.
Each iron, like I said, has a job. And I think, the one thing I would, recommend is obviously after you get these is we got to look at the loft structure. We got to look at, how's the ball flight? How's that ball behaving? And if we need to make minor tweaks, that's an easy thing to do.
So Shane, if I told you when we finish this stream, you have to order your set right now, you got it under wraps? You got it under control?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you don't. We're going to give you a couple days to think about that.
No, I had to lie.
And go a step further and say, if you have any questions that you want to run by Brad, you send them to me and I'll make sure Brad gets them and answers you promptly.
Perfect.
Best I can.
Yep.
Perfect.
And we'll make sure you have all the information so you can order at the end of this week or early next week and have them in a reasonable amount of time from Ben Hogan.
That's awesome.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We know you went a little long today with some technical difficulties, but Shane got it all worked out. Gave the hot tag to Canada to come in and help him. Everything worked out well.
Can I email Dan? Is it it@thehackersparadise.com?
It is. It's it@thehackersparadise.com, along with podcaster @thehackersparadise.com and content creator @thehackersparadise.
Forward them
Let me
all.
try that again. Content creator @thehackersparadise. They're all auto forward to the garbage. But no, huge thanks for Dan to coming in and helping him. And thanks to Brad for coming on. I know this isn't a normal thing at Club Champion. They believe in the relationship and the in-person fitting. So in this certain climate, obviously the best we can do. So for everybody following along, if you have questions, you know the drill. Go to the thread on the forum, ask away. We'll make sure Brad has the answers. If Brad doesn't have the answers, we'll make sure Ben Hogan has the answers, and we'll get them in there posted for you. So for myself and the guys, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Josh.